The following is a presentation of IMG, America's home for college sports. Live from Quaker Steak and Lube on US 1 in Edison, this is the Chris Ash Show, your chance to talk with the head coach of the Scarlet Knights on the Rutgers IMG Sports Network. Today's show is brought to you by To be a part of the show, give us a buzz on the Nissan call-in line at 877-384-1869. That's 877-384-1869. Now let's go live to Quaker Steak and Lube in Edison to talk Rutgers football. Here's the voice of the Scarlet Knights, Chris Carlin.
Yes, a terrific crowd on hand for our inaugural Chris Ash Show here at Quaker Steak and Lube. On Route 1 in Edison, New Jersey, 1450 WCTC, and of course on RVision on ScarletKnights.com. Chris Carlin, of course, with Eric LeGrand, my co-host. Good to see you, E.
Hey, good to see you, Chris, and also you too, Coach.
Coach Ash is with us for his first radio show as Rutgers head football coach. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Still trying to get used to that sound, the Chris Ash radio show.
Well, Coach, we've got a lot of different ways for fans to get in touch, get a chance for them to ask questions to you throughout the course of the next hour. They can do so on our Nissan call-in number at 1-877-384-1869. 877-384-1869. Tweet us questions at Rutgers Radio. That's at Rutgers Radio. And if you are in attendance with us tonight here at Quaker Steak and Lube in Edison, we encourage you to come on up front. See our man Jimmy in the red Rutgers shirt right up here, and we will get you on the air. You'll have a chance to ask Coach a question yourself. By all means, please come by and do that. So, Rutgers opened up the season. Tough loss out at Washington, 48-13 to the 14th ranked Huskies, who, by the way, now are ranked 8th in the country. And, Coach, that was really, seemingly at least, a story of the first quarter versus the last three quarters for your football team.
Yeah, we got off to a slow start, and it had probably more to do with Washington getting off to a fast start. They're a very good football team. They're well coached. They got veteran players back from a team that went to a bowl game and won a bowl game last year. They're predicted to win at least the northern part of the Pac-12, and I think they're going to have a successful season. Disappointed in the outcome of the football game. Probably more disappointed, though, that we didn't play up to our full potential. But as you mentioned, the first quarter was slow, but I really liked the way our players stuck together, the way they were coachable on the sidelines. They believed in what we were doing and went out and battled the rest of that game. And I think the next three quarters we improved every quarter, and I really like what I saw on tape. I was encouraged by what I saw on Sunday from watching the film.
And when you get off to a start like that, Coach, it's your first time as a head coach. What do you tell the team when you get them to the sideline? You get to talk to them for a minute after the first quarter.
Just like any series, they come off the field onto the sideline. You just keep coaching them. You identify things that they did well, things they didn't do well out on the field, and you just keep coaching them. Keep making adjustments. When the foot hits the ball, preparation's over, then it's a game of adjustments, and we just continue to make adjustments, trying to get issues fixed, and that's really what it was, and just trying to keep them upbeat and positive and stay into the game. And I think that the coaching staff did a great job of that, and I think the leaders of the football team did a great job of that.
To illustrate the point regarding the first quarter versus the rest of the game, Washington with the 24 points in the first quarter and 200 yards total offense, put them on a short field a couple of times as well. That didn't help. But the last three quarters of the game, the Huskies just 178 yards of total offense and only 10 points the rest of the way.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the stats and you spin it any way we want to spin it. At the end of the day, we didn't play our best football, and that's what's discouraging. But again, like I mentioned, I was really encouraged by the way the team continued to fight and the improvements they made throughout the course of that football game. And we've had a great week of preparation so far as we're headed to this first home opener here at High Point Solution Stadium. So I'm excited for us to get out and have another opportunity to go and compete and see if we're improving.
And can you talk about how important special teams plays in those type of games and the momentum swings that it has in a football game?
Yeah, special teams are so important in any football game. Whether you win or you lose, they're going to determine the outcome one way or the other, and unfortunately they didn't help us in the outcome of this football game. We spend an insane amount of time on special teams. We've spent more time on special teams throughout the course of training camp than I have in any other job that I've been at here in the last 20 years. And that's what makes it so disappointing that we gave up touchdowns on a punt return and on a kickoff return. And we're working diligently to try to make sure that we got those issues shored up as we move forward.
What were some of the other specific positives that you took out of it after you watched the tape on Sunday, after talking about how they responded and how they were staying together? Specifics on the field you saw that you really liked?
Well, I think we have a tough football team. We talked about some of the keys to victory going into that football game. We had to have a tough football team. We're playing a good team on the road. To have a chance to win those games, you got to have a tough football team, and that means not only physically out on the field, but just mentally and emotionally to go through the ups and downs that you go through in a game. I think that we competed. There was no quit in our football team. They competed for 4 quarters. I saw that. I felt that on the sideline. I saw that on the videotape from watching it, and that we got better as the game went on. And those are the things that I took out of it.
I was going to ask you, Coach, any specific player pop out to you? You know, you got to see these guys now for the past 8 months against each other. Now you got to see them against another team. Anybody specific pop out to you out there?
Yeah, a couple guys. I'll start with the defensive side of it. Kai Hester came in off the bench for Saquon Hampton, who went down with an injury. Kai's had a really good training camp. He missed a little bit of training camp, but when he came back, he really practiced extremely well. And he took over for Saquon. He ended up being our defensive player of the game. He tackled really well. He made some plays on the ball. If you guys have watched Kai in the past, last year he struggled with tackling. He'll be the first to tell you that. And he had an outstanding game with tackling. He made great adjustments and calls out there. So I was really pleased with the way Kai played. And on the offensive side of the ball, Janarian Grant, I thought, gave us everything he could. He was at wideout. He was at quarterback. He returned punts. He returned kicks. One play that really stuck out to me that showed me a lot about who Janarian is when we threw an interception late in that game. We could have just stopped and watched the wide receiver run into the end zone and score. There was one guy that was giving his all to go make that play and give us a chance to line up again. It was Janarian Grant.
And with Janarian in particular, on offense, he's not used to being that involved, touching the ball as much as he did. And then you add in the special teams. Is that when you see him come out of it, do you pay particular attention to the change in workload? In other words, just as much more as he is going to be on the field this year?
We kind of planned it that way. We knew that Janarian was going to be a great fit for our offense, and in this offense you want to get your playmakers the ball, and we did that with Janarian. But we've trained him to be able to handle that workload in a game and those number of reps, and I think he handled it exceptionally well. The thing that we've got to do is monitor that as it goes through the season, the cumulative reps that he has after 5 games, 6 games, 9 games, to see what it's doing to his body. But I think our guys do a great job of taking care of the players and helping them in the recovery phase of it, and I think Janarian's going to be able to last the whole season.
And as we talk about workloads, Coach, you see you get to mix in a little bit of few of the running backs. How does that go by making that decision? Do you leave it up to the offensive coordinator, or do you just see how the flow of the game is going?
It's a combination of both. One of the things I've learned along my coaching journey is not to get involved with things that you don't know about. So I let the offensive coaches really handle the offense. I'll give some advice or my opinion every now and then, but I'm not an offensive coach. I hired those guys to run our offense, and they know their players exceptionally well and what they can and can't do. And we'll play the hot hand. Just because a guy starts doesn't mean that he'll end the game as the leading carrier or leading rusher on our offense. But we'll play the hot hand, and we'll keep going in practice to see who gets the next start or who gets the most carries in the next game. They have to earn it in practice. Was
there anything in your first game as a head coach that you noticed is just a whole lot different? Anything that, I don't want to say you caught you off guard, but anything that maybe you just, this is something else I'm going to have to contend with as a head coach now versus when I was a coordinator?
Headset issues. No, it was different being on the sideline. In my 20 years of coaching, I've been on the sideline 2 years. Wow. In my 20 years, I've been in the press box. Just watching the game from the sideline and managing the game from the sideline is a different feel, and you have to get used to that. But other than that, nothing really surprised me or caught me off guard. We did have a communication deal with the headsets the first time out that we had to take after the opening drive of 4th and 1. A lot of people asked me if we were thinking about going for it. No, we weren't. I was yelling to punt the ball through the headsets. We had a headset issue that they couldn't hear me, so they weren't sure what I was telling them to do. So we just decided to take a timeout and get it right.
Can you talk about, Coach, now you talk about being on the sideline, decision-making when it comes with the weather-wise, deciding if you're going to kick a field goal from farther out, making sure you want to try different things. How does that now come into play, as the new head coach?
Well, I mean, it is a little bit different, just like working in the office every day. Every decision comes across your desk as a head coach, and that's a little bit different. And then when it comes to game time, all those decisions come through your headset, and you've got to make those decisions. A lot of them are made before the game ever starts, though. We're going to know what the weather conditions are going to be. We're going to try to go through every scenario that we could possibly think about that could come up in the game and have an answer to them. So it wouldn't necessarily just have to be me, but we discuss those as a staff. They know what the particular calls would be based on the situation, and hopefully there would be several guys that would be able to make those calls. But we make decisions all the time on when we're going to kick it, when we're going to go for it, are we going to punt it, based on the ability of our players, where we're at on the field, and what the conditions are.
Our telephone number, once again, to speak to the head coach of the Rutgers Scarlet Knights, Chris Ash, 877-384-1869, 877-384-1869, your Nissan call-in number. And let's take our first call of the night. That is Dylan in New Brunswick. Dylan, you're up first on the Chris Ash Show. How are you?
I'm great, man. How are you?
Good.
All right, I got kind of a two-part question for Coach Ash. First part is, how big is the student section going to be this Saturday and the whole season? And the second part is, back in high school, I had a defensive coordinator who always tell me there's a difference between being hurt and injured, but he never really explained what the difference is. As a former defensive coordinator, Coach Ash, what is the difference between being hurt and injured?
Well, when you talk about being hurt and injured, when you go through a physical football game or physical practice or a long season, everybody's going to be hurt. You're going to have bumps and bruises that hurt, and there's going to be times where you're injured. Hurt, when you hear that phrase or that comment, usually means that you can still play, you can fight through it. If you're completely injured, that means you can't. So when you hear someone say there's a difference between being hurt and injured, it means that, you've got bumps and bruises and aches and pains that really hurt, but you can still play. If you're injured, you can't. So that's, I think, the second part of your question. I think the first one was about the student section.
Yep.
We fully anticipate having an enthusiastic student section for not only this game but all games. I think our students are very, very excited about what we're trying to do for them to help improve the game day experience, and I think the turnout and the atmosphere that they create in our stadium should be off the charts. I'm really excited to see what they do.
And they've got a little extra incentive this week to get into their seats early for the second consecutive year, the $100,000 kickoff return challenge. 100 students could win $1,000 each at random if Rutgers returns its opening kick for a touchdown. And Janarian Grant back there, I got to like your odds. I got to think you got a pretty good opportunity at it. So, again, be in your seats early for that, especially with a noon start this week. That would be the opening kickoff for Rutgers, their first kickoff that they receive in the football game. All right, we've got a couple of questions for you on Twitter. This first one's from John Newman. Is Coach Ash a proponent of one quote-unquote preseason scrimmage against another school to help prepare for the regular season? I've never seen that done. Is that, first of all, is that allowed?
It's not at Division I level. It's not. I know there's been a lot of conversation about doing that similar to the NFL. The difference is in the NFL, they're trying to determine who makes their roster and who doesn't. We're not. I don't think right now I would be in favor of that just because of injuries. Right now, whenever you play one of your 12 games in college football, it's so important that you have everybody to play in those games, and I'd hate to lose somebody in a preseason scrimmage, so to speak.
And how hard is that? Go if you don't have really any film on a team going into the season, right away. And so you look at I guess some spring ball tapes, but we get over the season. How hard is it to adjust to or make a game plan up for a team maybe that you may not know what they're doing, especially if they do have a new coaching staff?
It's very hard. Washington just went through it, obviously preparing for us, and I listened to Chris Peterson talk about their preparation. I've been in that same situation too. You just research their staff, you find out where they come from, previous places they've coached on offense, defense, and special teams. You try to get tape from those places, try to evaluate that film, and try to do your best to guess what they may run on game day. And then it's about adjustments. You're going to do enough throughout training camp to build rules that can basically rule out any situation that comes up, any type of formations on defense, what types of pressures and fronts you possibly see on offense. And hopefully when you get to game day, you've shown your team enough that their rules hold through and can handle whatever is thrown at you.
We're live at Quaker Steak and Lube on Route 1 in Edison for the inaugural Chris Ash Show. We're going to take our first time out of the night. Your Nissan call-in number again, 877-384-1869. Tweet us your questions at Rutgers Radio. And by all means, if you have a question and you're in attendance here at Quaker Steak and Lube, we've got a great crowd for our opening show. Come on up front. Get with our man Jimmy, and we will get your question for Coach on the air. You'll have a chance to ask him yourself. In just a little bit, we'll also talk to Rutgers Athletic Director Pat Hobbs about a new initiative announced this week by the athletic department. So much to do. Get involved in the program right now. This is the Chris Ash Show.
Don't just say you're a diehard fan, show it. Nissan's giving you the chance to win a custom-wrapped 2017 Titan, decked out in your school's official colors. To enter, go to diehardfan.com/sweepstakes, and you can turn your garage into the ultimate fan cave. Nissan Titan, take on game day. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited. Starts 9/1/16 at 12:0001 a.m. EDT and ends on 10/23/16 at 11:59:59 p.m. EDT. Open to residents of the USDC. 18 and over. Official rules visit www.diehardfan.com/sweepstakes. Sponsor Nissan North America, Inc.
Hey, Chris Carlin here, and as the voice of your Rutgers Scarlet Knights, I see the fans' passion for our hometown team come to life every Saturday in the fall. UPS shares this same passion for helping businesses turn a challenge into a solution, because they're not just in the shipping business, they're in the problem-solving business. Visit ups.com/solvers to see how UPS can help your team find the winning formula. UPS, official logistics company of Rutgers Athletics.
The Chris Ash Show returns after this local timeout. This is the Rutgers IMG Sports Network.
We have a new player on the field, and he's ready for kickoff with a delicious ice-cold Coca-Cola. And the kick. Ice giving him a little trouble as a few cubes shake loose. He's probably going to pour it here, and he does. The glass is full. Can he go all the way? He did it! Oh, wow! And just listen to that fizz! That might have been the most refreshing thing that I've ever seen. Whew! Coca-Cola. Taste the feeling.
Technology should have a purpose, which is why we engineered the Audi A6 with available advanced features like online music streaming, car finder, and driver assistance systems that all work together to help create a seamless driving experience. The powerful, intuitive new Audi A6. Advanced technology doesn't have to be complicated.
Experience an Audi A6 at a New Jersey Audi dealer today. Ask about the exceptional offers on the A6 or learn more at AudiOffers.com. Your New Jersey Audi dealers, proud sponsors of Rutgers Athletics.
This
Welcome
is
back to the Chris Ash Show. Got a question for Coach? Dial us up on the Nissan call-in line at 877-384-1869. That's 877-384-1869. Nissan, proud partner of college athletics. Shop ChooseNissan.com. Innovation that excites. Now, back to the voice of the Scarlet Knights, Chris Carlin.
Rutgers preparing for Howard. It is the home opener this Saturday, 12 noon at High Point Solution Stadium. Also Military Appreciation Day. We'll talk more about that with the athletic director, Pat Hobbs, in just a little bit. Once again, your chance to be involved in the program. If you're here at Quaker Steak and Lube in Edison, come on up front and ask Coach Ash a question. So let's get into some of the bigger things that you've seen around the program throughout your first training camp and through the first part of the season. Let's start on the offensive side. I think a guy that is very intriguing is Justin Goodwin, because, you know, through the last couple of years in his career, He's been very versatile. He's been a guy that they've asked to do a few different things. He even played defense at one point, had an interception in a game against Washington State a couple of years ago. Justin's your starter at running back in week 1 and listed this week. Tell me about Justin, his progression. What has impressed you about him?
He's just been consistent. He's a competitor. His competitive spirit shows up every day. You know, we've got really 4 running backs that have gotten a lot of reps during training camp. That included Rob Martin and Trey Sneed. Rob has been slowed here as of late with an injury, is why he did not play on Saturday. We were hoping that he would be healthy enough to play, and he wasn't. We're hoping to have Rob back this weekend. He's actually practiced very well this week, and we're excited to see what Rob can do to get back in the mix. But speaking of Justin, he's just been competitive. He's been consistent. He knows the offense. He's great with ball security. And just like the way he's worked every day.
And as we're talking about players now, I want to go to the defensive side of the ball with the 3 new linebackers, and one of them being Greg Jones, hailing from my old high school. You know, I wanted to hear your thoughts on how they're progressing and how you see them in their first game now of action.
A little shout out to the ex-high school.
That's right, baby. Colonial High, baby.
Yeah, there you go. Greg is a tremendous competitive individual, and that's why he's earned the opportunity to start. It's amazing how he became a linebacker. When we first got here, he was at corner. Then we moved him to safety, and then we moved him to linebacker. You don't see that very often, but that's what Greg has done. And he goes to practice and just goes hard every single day. He's tough. You know, he's learned the position. And when I talk about Justin Goodwin being a competitor, I don't know that we have a more competitive individual on our team than Greg Jones right now.
Darius Hamilton getting back on the field, you could really sense through the course of training camp how much it was going to mean for him. When you saw him out there, when you evaluated him, what did you see?
Well, he was one of our players that graded as a champion in the first game. That many had a winning performance. I talked to Darius after the game to see how he felt. He said he felt great. We got a lot of what we call power from Washington, where they double team our 3 technique, our defensive tackle. Darius said that his added weight and strength made a huge difference because in the past, when he would get doubled, he'd get knocked around a little bit, and he was actually really stout in there and held the point and split the double teams a lot and made some plays behind the line of scrimmage. So he felt great, and I really like what I saw from the reps that he had on Saturday.
What was the biggest adjustment he had to make with the extra weight?
Just conditioning as much as anything, because he put the weight on and really couldn't run. So once he was able to start running, he just had to make sure that he could manage that weight and carry that weight and see how many reps that he could get with that weight.
And as a coach, you know, when you get adjustments on the sideline, how much do you rely on your players, you know, the veteran players coming off, what they see out there? Do you get to talk to them much, or do you rely on what you and your coaches see more?
Both, but you always have to listen to the players. They're the ones out there in the action, and if they're intelligent players, that are veteran players and understand offensive football or defensive football, when they come to the sideline, they can tell you what happened. They can tell you or give you suggestions on, hey, this may work or that may work because they're doing this. So you listen to the players a lot. As coaches, we're watching particular players or units out on the field on game days as the plays develop, and then we're also using replays as much as we can to try to determine, you know, what happened on breakdowns or why was a play successful. So it's really a combination of all of them. But I think we're really fortunate that we got some good, intelligent veteran players that understand football that can give us a lot of feedback.
We've got our first question from one of the fans here in attendance at Quaker Steak and Lube on Route 1 in Edison. Sir, what's your name? Where are you from?
Hi, Charlie Ellerman from Woodbridge.
Hey, Charlie.
How you doing? Okay, I have a question. Might be a little odd, but if the score becomes a little lopsided on Saturday, will you consider bringing in other personnel, maybe kids that not kids that haven't started the game?
Yeah, absolutely. For us right now, it's about developing our players. It's about developing our starters, but also developing depth. If we were to get into a game where we felt like it was in hand and we could put in other players to develop our depth, we're absolutely going to do that.
I actually just have maybe it's a statement or maybe it's directed to the athletic director. Eric, my daughter cheered for you when you were a Port Reading Saint, Melissa Ellerman.
Okay.
And I called her Saturday morning. I said, "Hi, Melissa, it's Dad." And I heard her scream on the phone, "Oh, my God." I said, "Melissa, what's the matter?" She goes, "Don't you know it's game day?" She lives in Morgantown, West Virginia. She's been down there for 13 years.
Oh, wow.
She doesn't go to West Virginia anymore, but she's still an incredible fan. So my, statement is, how are we going to get more passionate Rutgers fans and students. I've been a season ticket holder for 20 years, and I also work in the stadium on the former event staff and now the Andy Fran event staff. So is there anything in the works we need more passionate fans, more passionate students?
I'll answer that to start. We're in the works every day. We're trying to build a football team that fans are excited about and want to go to the stadium and watch play every single Saturday. There's obviously a lot of things you can do at the stadium to create an environment that people want to be a part of, and it starts with the product that's on the field. If your team has a chance to go out and compete and win and play exciting football, more and more people are going to show up. If they go there and they have a good time and they enjoy the environment, they're going to come back, and we're working on it every day.
Chris, I just want to say one last thing. If you ever have the chance to listen to a recording of 1450 announcing the game, it's one of the greatest experiences you can have, because these guys, if you had your eyes closed, you would think that you were at the game. You're in the game. You'd be in the stadium. That's how great it is. These guys really do a great job.
Checks in
every
the mail.
year.
Thank you.
Appreciate it very much. We'll take a question from Twitter, somewhat related to what you were talking about. Very passionate fan, a young man named Aaron Patel. Coach, how are you feeling prior to opening kick on Saturday in your first game as head coach? Nervous, excited, anxious, confident, and how will you be feeling this week as you prepare for Howard and you get your first chance at a home game?
I was kind of feeling the same as I do for every game. I get nervous for every game. I have for a long time. You're just nervous about the preparation. Did you prepare the way you needed to prepare? Did you cover all the situations? Are you thinking about the situations that could come up in the game that could either cost you the game or help you win the football game? What about this scenario, that scenario? So I'm nervous, but my mind's just racing about all the things that could come up in the game, and just constantly going back and thinking about what didn't we cover that I could still cover before it comes up.
And Coach, I want to go back to kind of talk about the fan experience. Nowadays we live in a social media world, so everything you see is online, and you get to notice now. You get to see on Instagram like Snapchats of the players in practice and things like that. How did that go into playing now? So you get the more fans involved and feel like they're more important, a part of the program.
Yeah, that was part of our plan coming here. We wanted to make sure that we got our brand out, our message out. We wanted to excite both fans and recruits on what we're doing inside the halls of the Hale Center. And I think people have been excited about what we've been able to put out there. Now we just got to take it the next step and get them excited about what we're doing on the field.
Once again, our Nissan call-in number is 877-384-1869. That's 877-384-1869. You can tweet us at Rutgers Radio as well. There were a couple of other things I wanted to ask you about. Your selection of captains, how did that process take place? Are you a guy that you're going to evaluate everybody and make the decision yourself? Does the team vote? Darius Hamilton, Julian Penix-Odrick on defense, Chris Muller, and Derek Nelson on offense, your captains this year.
It wasn't my selection. It was the player's selection. It's a player voted captain position, and we did it after a few weeks of training camp. We give them all off-season, spring practice, summer, and training camp to evaluate who the true leaders are on the football team, and then we let the players vote. And ideally, we wanted to have 4 to 6 captains, 2 on offense, 2 on defense is how it came out. And I think they're excellent choices. They've provided unbelievable leadership for us in the 8 months that we've been here, and they'll continue to do so throughout the rest of the season.
Eric, along those lines, when you guys were voting for captains back in the day, how did you go about it? What were you looking for in your teammates when you were making that decision?
Well, when you vote for a captain, you want somebody, of course, that you obviously respect and actually understands the game of football and is a part of going to do things for the team. You don't want somebody selfish up there that's all about themselves and that's all they care about. So that's how we kind of went about it. It wasn't always had to be the best player on the team. It was somebody that you respected and came in, worked hard each and every day, and that's how we kind of went about it. You gain that respect more instead of being the best player on the team by just someone who knows that you're what you're going through each and every day, and you respect it because they're giving it their all at it.
Our telephone number again, 877-384-1869. We'll take a timeout. When we come back, we will visit with Rutgers Athletic Director Pat Hobbs and discuss a new initiative announced this week by the Rutgers Athletic Department. We are live at Quaker Steak and Lube on Route 1 in Edison, New Jersey, for our first edition of the Chris Ash Show. Hang with us.
When you're looking for tickets to that sold-out event, there's only one place to go. TickCity.com, the official secondary ticket partner of Rutgers Athletics. Scarlet Knight fans can save 10% on all orders when you use the discount code Rutgers at checkout. From sporting events to the hottest concerts, Broadway and family shows across the country, all your ticket needs are covered at your fan-friendly ticket source. TickCity.com. That's TickCity.com.
Looking for a place to watch all the Rutgers football action? Enjoy the games with fellow Scarlet Knights fans at these Rutgers Athletics official watch party locations. Hoboken's Cadillac Cantina, Tom's Rivers Baker's Water Street Bar and Grill, Freehold's Moore's Tavern and Sports Bar, Monroe Township's Baker's American Bar and Grill, and Quaker Steak and Lube's 3 locations in Edison, Brick, and Phillipsburg. For more information on the official watch party locations, please visit ScarletKnights.com.
The Chris Ash Show returns after this local timeout. This is the Rutgers IMG Sports Network.
We live in an exciting time for medicine. Breakthroughs happen every day. The higher we raise the bar, the more we push ourselves to jump over it. Welcome to RWJ Barnabas Health. From clinical trials that are making cancer a thing of the past, to mapping the brain and seeing the future of neuroscience. From the latest in heart transplants to planting community gardens, we're enhancing the health and wellness of the millions of people we serve. With more than 41,000 medical professionals, 11 acute care hospitals, 4 children's hospitals, dedicated researchers, and partnerships with medical schools, we're delivering better health together to New Jersey, to Bayonne and Atlantic City, Livingston, Edison and Princeton, urban farms in Newark, family fitness trails at the Jersey Shore, and especially to you. Join us, and working together, your life will be healthier too. RWJ Barnabas Health. Let's be healthy together. Visit rwjbhinfo.org.
Welcome back to the Chris Ash Show. Got a question for Coach? Dial us up on the Nissan call-in line at 877-384-1869. That's 877-384-1869. Nissan, proud partner of college athletics. Shop ChooseNissan.com. Innovation that excites. Now, back to the voice of the Scarlet Knights, Chris Carlin.
We continue live from Quaker Steak and Lube here on Route 1 in Edison, New Jersey on RVision and on 1450 WCTC. Chris Carlin, Eric LeGrand, and we are now joined by the Director of Athletics at Rutgers, Pat Hobbs. Pat, how are you?
Great to be with you, Chris, and the Big E.
The Big E.
The Big E, I like it. I like it.
Well, this has got to be incredibly exciting for you to get your first opportunity as athletic director for a home football game this week. What's going through your mind as you get ready?
No question. Incredibly excited about it. Can't wait to be out there in the parking lot, going through the tailgate with everybody. I've been invited to about 25 tailgates so far.
Nice.
So I'm going to starve myself for the next 24 hours, and I'll be ready for the tailgate. And then, of course, I can't wait to see our guys go out on the field and compete in front of our fans. You know, Coach Ash, the work that they've done throughout the summer and since we brought him in, tremendous. Our guys, obviously, they would have liked to have a better result last week. So they're even more pumped up about being in front of our home fans. I can't wait.
And I wanted to ask you, we'll give you some experiences that it's been like so far, Pat, being the athletic director, things that you do like, some maybe things that you don't like, but many of the things that you do like I want to hear about.
I tell you, I love Rutgers. The people at Rutgers are incredibly passionate about athletics, about our teams. They want to see us succeed. The response to what we've been doing so far has been tremendous. I love being around our student athletes. I have an office now in the Hale Center as well. I'm told I'm the first athletic director to actually have an office in the football complex, nice. And I put it in the academic center. So as the students come in for their tutoring and meetings with their academic tutors, I get to meet and talk with them. So it's tremendous, tremendous.
Well, with that in mind, very interesting announcement this week, and it's something that you have been working on for quite some time, and it's the Rutgers Athletics Creed. We're going to read it to you first, and we can talk about the individual thoughts about it and exactly how you decided to go this way with the fans. And it reads as follows for those who haven't seen it. We are Scarlet Knights, the most passionate fans in college athletics. We cheer our teams win or lose. We stand when our teams enter and exit the field of play. We welcome our opponents and their fans as guests in our university home. We respect all student athletes and celebrate their efforts. We know our enthusiasm on game day helps to recruit the nation's best. We strive to make everyone's experience enjoyable. We are the state, university, and Big Ten proud. This is Rutgers. First of all, love it. That's fantastic. Tell me about the genesis of this and what you were thinking as you put this together.
Sure, thanks, Chris. Hey, this is Jersey, so when it went out there, I've already seen some snarky comments, folks.
Well, you wouldn't expect otherwise.
Look, if we're going to fight about Taylor ham and pork roll, we're going to fight about a lot of things, right? And so that's great. And look, this was born of a commentary that came back to me. Last year, I watched it when, and people described in different ways what happened with Chris Laviano. We should never have an athlete feel that they're not respected by everyone at Rutgers. These young men go out and they toil, and they're out there on the field. So, part of it was on that. So who are we? And that's sort of a couple of people. And sometimes I think you have to put out there, well, who are we? Who do we want to be? What do we aspire to be? So part of it represents who I think we really are, and I think Rutgers fans are among the most passionate in sports. They are loud, they're raucous, and that's good. That's Jersey, and we love that. But there's also a way that you have to be respectful. When people come to your home, you have to treat them like they're in your home. Our athletes, we have 625 student athletes out there. They're competing, they're working, they're toiling, they're doing all these things. And that's been the greatest reaction so far. We introduced this we had a picnic for our student athletes returning on Labor Day, and the number of them that came up to me and said, thank you, thank you, thank you. And this wasn't just my initiative. This was born of a lot of people saying, hey, we should say who we are, and then we should live who we are, and I think this represents it very well.
And as you mentioned, as an athletic director, you want to try to get, to have a relationship with all 625 of those athletes. Can you talk about how that is going around from each program and getting to know each player? Some maybe more than others, but how do you go about doing that?
It's the best part of the job. And we have 24 teams. In the 9 months that I've been part of Rutgers University, we've been out doing a lot. Fundraising obviously is really important with our Big Ten build. But the real joy of the job is being there with the student athlete. As we talk about, they're 18, 19, 20-year-olds. And I think sometimes we forget that when we see them out there competing. We want success. And, we've got lots of we're a pro environment here in New Jersey as well. So sometimes that gets brought to our teams when these are young folks who are really competing for us. Spending time with them across all of our sports, learning a little bit about where they are. I was in with the women's tennis team, and we have a young lady from Israel, another one from Australia. That's the joy of the job, and that's what makes you really, really passionate about bringing resources to them to help them compete and be successful.
I'm glad you brought it up because it is an area with 9 professional sports teams in New York and New Jersey, and then you also factor in Philadelphia as well, that I think fans are used to that, but I can only speak for ourselves. Eric and I and Ray Lucas were very upset when that happened during the game, and I think that when you set a tone like this, it really delivers that message a little bit better, and you did it in a very formal way. So I guess that as you do it, how are you expecting it to be received? Just mentioned the snarky comments here, but
Yeah, so we're going to distribute this, and look, I appreciate, and people were going to kid me about it, and I accept that. I love it. It's Jersey. That's where I grew up. But I think as people look at it, they're going to say, you know what, that actually is that is the way we should be. I think, a perfect example, we talk about, our enthusiasm on game day is recruits the nation's best. People forget that during a game, there's a parent sitting in the stands with a recruit for Rutgers. And if they see a player on the field being booed, I mean, as a parent, what am I going to think? I'm going to think, I don't know if this is the right play for you. But if they walk into the stadium on game day and we're going crazy and we stand when our teams come on the field and we cheer win or lose and we stand when they leave the field, as a parent or as a player, I'm going to say, this is the place that I want to be. And I think, sometimes fans need to be reminded that they play a huge role on game day on recruiting the nation's best. And that's sort of some of it's aspirational, as I said, but a lot of it I think really does represent who we are. And, last night we were with the student leadership of the university. Again, everybody's embracing it, but we'll get the snarky comments. And I'm good with that as well.
And it's unfortunate, back in 2008, I saw that happening. When we started off first 1-5, a lot of people were getting on our quarterback, Mike Teal, and it was tough to see because I know how hard he was working, but the crowd if we're not putting out the product that they wanted, getting on top of him. So I guess my question is more, how do you continue to get it out there to the crowd, especially in the middle of a game when people start getting all frustrated and things start flying around?
So that's a great question, Eric. And so everyone will see this creed when they enter the stadium, and I hope they'll reflect on that and they'll think about how am I going to live that creed every day for Rutgers University. Hey, look. If you pay somebody $23 million, if some players out there getting paid $23 million to throw a football, go ahead and boo them all you want. I'm fine with that. All right. But when Mike Teal is out there, or Chris Laviano, or any of our players are out there, and they're busting their butts for Rutgers University, let's cheer our tails off.
Yep.
And by the way, had a 2008 finish, 7 in a
row,
that's where it was, and a bowl championship.
Papa John's bowl, baby.
Yep.
Exactly right.
A couple of other things, Pat, real quick. Military Appreciation Day this week. It's always been a big part of what Rutgers has wanted to do to support our veterans and to support the members of our military who sacrifice so much for us.
Oh, again, we talk about young people, and you have people who've served a career in the military, but these young people who go out there and they sacrifice for our country, you can't honor them enough. You can't thank them enough for what they do. And sometimes it even, they feel a little bit overwhelmed by it, but I'm okay with that. So it'll be a really important day to have our military there, to say thank you to them, to honor the sacrifice and the effort that they make, and that'll always be part of Rutgers University.
As we brought up the military, I think it's one of the coolest things is seeing when somebody posts a picture on social media of them wherever they're based at. If it's either in Afghanistan, if it's in Italy, South Korea, wherever it is, but they have a picture of a Rutgers flag. I think that's always awesome.
And you got to have that block R, right?
Exactly.
No, we have almost 500,000 living alums around the world, and I hope they put that block R out there, and as we go bowling and go to NCAA tournaments, we'll have more of those pictures on Twitter and Instagram, and I can't wait to see it.
We're talking to Pat Hobbs, Rutgers Athletic Director. Has there been anything in the first 10 months on the job that has surprised you?
I have a lot of things that surprised me, in a good way. We've got a big challenge, and that's the Big Ten build. And Chris, you're a supporter of it. I'm a supporter of it. We need to provide our student athletes with quality facilities, Big Ten facilities, and people have been tremendous. And so, in terms of surprises, I'll tell you what the biggest surprise is, and it shouldn't have been a surprise. I knew people were passionate about Rutgers University and Rutgers athletics. It is incredible how passionate they are. And that's why I love wearing the block R where I go, whether I'm in a supermarket, wherever I happen to be. Somebody comes over and they say, hey, I like what you're doing. I like what everybody's doing. I'm really enthusiastic. I feel really good about Rutgers right now. Tremendous. So I'm pleased by just how enthusiastic, how excited everybody is about Rutgers athletics.
Yeah, let's plug that for a second. ourbig10build.com, ourbig10build.com. In working for Sirius Satellite, also a few weeks ago, I had an opportunity to go down south, and I bring this up more informationally for fans because it absolutely blew me away. And I was at a school in the south that was building a new indoor practice facility that was going to cost $30 million, and up here that building would cost probably in the neighborhood of $80 or $90 million.
It's Jersey.
Exactly. But the point is that they're able to do that through fundraising, and they're able to do it through those types of things. We do, because of where we are, have a little bit more effort in front of us, but at the same time, it's really encouraging to see the response that you've gotten and continue to get.
It's tremendous. I mean, we launched the Big Ten Build on January 19th. 15 weeks later, we'd raised over $30 million. You couple that with the support from our governor and the legislature, and we're over $50 million of support toward a $100 million initiative. We're very, very excited and hopeful that we're going to be able to give an update in a couple of weeks, and we're going to have some nice numbers around that update. And throughout this year, we'll continue to do that because, even after we do that, even after we get those facilities built, we have other things that we have to do. We've deferred that for a long time. I think the last entirely new building for athletics was the RAC, surprisingly. That's 40 years ago. That can't be. We need to have a cycle of supporting our athletes by providing them quality facilities. And again, as you said, people have been tremendous. I've had people come up and say, I've never made a contribution, but I pledged $100 to the Big Ten bill. That's $20 a year over 5 years that they pledged, right? That person needs to be thanked as much as the person who's committing the 7-figure gift. We need all of that support. As we build broad-based support to support our athletic programs, people are going to feel really good about it because they're going to see the results of that, and then we'll keep doing it, and then we'll have sustained success.
And because of where we are, it's not a level playing field. It is going to cost us more than it is other places, and we've been to some of these other places in the Big Ten, and look, there's work to be done, but at the same time, it's not unattainable. It can happen.
Look, and those programs, they're still out there. They're fundraising. They're building. They don't want to step aside for Rutgers University, so we got to go after them. And that's that would be my message. If you think your contribution doesn't make a difference, you're wrong. Everybody should be part of it. And as we build, as we have our success, more people come off the sidelines. The second wave. In football, depth is incredibly important, right? Well, depth in fundraising is incredibly important too. So we've had our first team now is in there, and they've generated $56 million of support. We need the second team to come in and the third team to come in and to keep bringing that support.
And I wanted to ask you, when it comes to building facilities, do you take advice from other people that have been other places on how you want to, make these facilities, or take the, athletes' opinion sometimes and seeing what they want to hear about, or seeing different facilities?
Yeah, Eric, I always say I take advice from everyone. I listen. I follow only some of it. But every time I go to a visiting team or another space, I make sure I tour their facilities. I see what's worked there. I always ask about the cost, how they did it, how they phased it, how much fundraising they did around it. I did that at the University of Washington this past Saturday. They have a beautiful stadium there, beautiful locker room facilities and strength and conditioning areas. Of course, we just put a new investment. Ron and Joanna Garuti gave us $2 million to support our strength and conditioning area. And so I look at everywhere I go. You're absolutely right. And I ask every AD, sort of, give us advice. What did you do wrong here? What would you do differently if you had an opportunity to do it again? And since we're coming out of the ground with some of these facilities for the first time, we'll get it right.
Pat, appreciate it. Enjoy the game on Saturday, and first experience as athletic director for a football game here at Rutgers.
I'll be there, and I'll be listening to you two guys as much as I can over the course of the day.
Thank you, Pat.
Thank you.
Rutgers athletic director Pat Hobbs with us here at Quaker Steak and Lube in Edison. Coach Ash rejoins us in a moment. Get your questions in on the Nissan call-in line at 877-384-1869. Tweet us at Rutgers Radio. And if you're here at Quaker Steak and Lube, come on down and ask the coach a question. We return in a moment. This is the Chris Ash Show.
We have a new player on the field, and he's ready for kickoff with a delicious ice-cold Coca-Cola. And the kick. Ice giving him a little trouble as a few cubes shake loose. He's probably going to pour it here, and he does. The glass is full. Can he go all the way? He did it! Oh, wow! And just listen to that fizz! That might have been the most refreshing thing that I've ever seen. Whew. Coca-Cola. Taste the feeling.
When it comes to football, you want your favorite players to stay healthy and on top of their game. Well, AmeriHealth New Jersey wants the same thing for its members and their families. That's why AmeriHealth New Jersey believes the more you know about your insurance options, the less stress you'll feel. No one cares more about keeping New Jersey healthy, and no one is doing more to keep rates affordable. AmeriHealth New Jersey has you covered. Learn more at AmeriHealthNJ.com. AmeriHealth New Jersey is a proud partner of Rutgers Athletics.
The Chris Ash Show returns after this local timeout. This is the Rutgers IMG Sports Network.
This commercial is brought to you by Brother International, the makers of fax printers, multifunction printers, scanners, sewing and embroidery machines. Brother is always at your side.
You can make business cards with your name, print from hiking, hang in frames, sew some shades, block the sun, keep out creepy peeping toms. With Brother at your side, always good times. You got a brother at your side, and whatever follows always ends up in good times. You can make a basket cover for your cat, another for his brother so they both match. No more mess, make the best label on relieve that stress. Brother's always undercover and always around. 106 years, better keep on counting.
The Chris Ash Show continues on the Rutgers IMG Sports Network. Now back to Quaker Steak and Lube with the voice of the Scarlet Knights, Chris Carlin.
Nissan calling number 877-384-1869. If you're here at Quaker Steak and Lube at Edison, come on down front. Ask Coach Ash a question. We'll get a couple of more Twitter questions in for the coach as well as he rejoins us. Give you a chance. Pat was talking about it before, but the commitment that Ron and Joanna Garuti made to your program just a little while ago in building an entirely new weight room facility, just first of all, what it meant to you and Kenny Parker, your strength and conditioning coach, when they decided to make that commitment, and what have you seen in terms of the facility itself and how happy you are with it?
Well, I'll start with Ron and Joanna. They're unbelievable people. People ask me all the time, what have you been surprised by here in my time at Rutgers? And it's the people, and it's people like Ron and Joanna that have such passion for Rutgers and Rutgers athletics and Rutgers football. And every day they get up, they want to find a way to make a difference. And they've made a huge difference in our program. And the donation that they made to help us build a first-class training facility for our players, and also for the other athletes in the Hale Center that use it. It's not just football. There are several athletes that use that facility, and it's off the charts. It helps us in recruiting. It'll help us in player development. You walk in, it's got a pop to it. It's got a wow factor, and couldn't say enough thanks to them for everything that they've done for us since we've been here.
And you, Coach, coming from all these different facilities, Ohio State, Wisconsin, Arkansas, and seeing, what Rutgers has, how do you, go about upgrading these guys and trying to get them to the top level of where they need to be, and also seeing them move off to the yard too now, some of these players. It's pretty cool, Coach. I'm not going to lie.
I can tell you this. We've made a lot of changes, and I'm not going to go back through all of them, but one of the biggest changes that I think we've made is where the players live. Once they finally moved into these new dorms, the conversation amongst the players in the dining hall the next day was unbelievable. It was great to hear. They were all so excited. They appreciated the new living quarters, and they were really excited about it, thought they were outstanding. And not all of our players are in those apartments yet or those new dorms, but hopefully in time we'll get them all there. But it's really exciting to see the players respond in such a positive way.
We've got a couple of questions coming in on Twitter. Again, you can send them to @RutgersRadio. This one is from Steve. Coach, what do you tell recruits to sell them on Rutgers?
Well, there's a lot that we can use to sell on Rutgers. It starts with the conference that we're in. We play in one of the top conferences in the country. We play in the biggest media market in the country. You're going to get a chance to play at a highly academic institution. You're going to get a chance to play for what I consider a top-notch coaching staff that knows how to develop and coach players. And here in this area, you get a chance to do that in front of your family and friends. And if you remove the logo from the helmet and you ask parents or recruits to go through and give some criteria that they're looking for, they usually list some of those things, and they have them all right here at home.
I mean, you came up with the phrase right in the beginning when you first got here, Coach, called fence to garden, and getting a lot of these guys to stay home. And how is it, watching the recruiting has been pretty great so far in your, first few months doing it. How do you see yourself, taking it really to the next level and really getting these guys to stay home?
Well, I've got to confess this. The fence to garden slogan was not mine.
Oh,
I didn't come up with that.
Okay.
Our running back, Zach Kerr, running backs coach Zach Kerr actually came with that. He's very creative, but I did not come up with that. But recruiting is everything for us right now. Keeping players here in this region is very important for us. We want to do that. We have to do that. There's some outstanding high school football players here. We're off to a good start, I think. We've gotten some really good commitments. We have to close the deal, and we have to get them signed on signing day. We still have a number of spots open. There are a lot of really good players still left out there for us to go recruit. But I'm excited about what we've been able to do here in a short amount of time, and that's why we came here, because we think this has an unbelievable potential, and a lot of people will be excited about what we're doing.
Another question on Twitter, this from Anu. Coach, how much time is spent in practice on offense, defense, versus how much time you spend on special teams?
Good question. We will spend between meeting time, we'll meet 20 minutes a day with the players on special teams. We do a pre-practice specialist period where we're working on snapping, holding, kicking, and usually punt protection. and then we'll do 2 segments each day that we practice. We typically do punt team every day, and then we'll work another segment every day. But between meetings, walkthroughs, and practice time, we're getting about 30 minutes a day on the field. And then the 20 minutes, so it's about 50 minutes a day that we work on special teams in some way or other.
All right, we'll step aside one more time. We come back, we'll get Coach's thoughts on the matchup with the Howard Bison this coming Saturday at High Point Solutions Stadium. It is a 12 noon kick, and again, especially for the students, we have the $100,000 kickoff return contest for the second straight year. 100 Rutgers students have an opportunity to win $1,000 if Rutgers returns their first kickoff for the day. $1,000 each, I should say, 100 students. And if Rutgers returns their first kickoff for a touchdown against the Bison, that will happen. So you want to be in your seats early on Saturday. We step aside, Quaker Steak and Lube in Edison. This is the Chris Ash Show.
Introducing the Rutgers Fan Exchange, powered by Tick City. Can't make it to a game and don't know what to do with your tickets? Looking for the best deals on the biggest games? Buy and sell tickets for all Rutgers home games through the Rutgers Fan Exchange, the only place to find seats from within the trusted Rutgers community. And you control the price. Every order helps support Rutgers athletics. Visit the Rutgers Fan Exchange at rutgersfanexchange.com.
Let's say you're a person.
I'm a person.
A person who switched to AT&T and got up to $650 in credits when you traded in your current smartphone and bought a new one on AT&T Next.
I sure did.
And use it to stream competitive eating videos.
Oh, that's him.
Sorry, can't talk. I'm training. Get up to $650 in credits per line when you switch to AT&T. Trade in your current phone and buy a new one on AT&T Next. AT&T, mobilizing your world.
Switch off a limited time. Each line requires eligible port-in, trade-in, purchase, and service. Get minimum of $10 trading credit plus prepaid card and amount of device balance or early termination fee less trade-in.
The Chris Ash Show returns after this local timeout. This is the Rutgers IMG Sports Network.
Train smart, play hard. The Scarlet Knights know what it takes to win on the field and off, so they work harder with the help of the high-quality protein of Dual Fuel. Developed in partnership with Rutgers strength and conditioning coaches, Dual Fuel performance bars and shakes provide elite athletes with the fuel they need to power through the toughest workouts. Give your body what it needs to take on the competition with Dual Fuel. Dual Fuel bars and shakes, an official nutrition partner of Rutgers Athletics. Available at campus retailers or at rutgers.dualfuelnutrition.com.
Technology moves faster than ever these days. Introducing the all-new Audi A4 with 252 horsepower, available new virtual cockpit, traffic jam assist, and standard smartphone integration. Proof that today's most exciting technology doesn't go in your pocket. The Audi A4. Intelligence is the new rock and roll.
Experience the 2017 Audi A4 at a New Jersey Audi dealer today. Take a test drive in the A4 and find out for yourself why intelligence is the new rock and roll. Your New Jersey Audi dealers, proud sponsors of Rutgers Athletics.
We finish up on the Chris Ash Show here at Quaker Steak and Lube in Edison every Wednesday night during the season from 7:30 to 8:30. Make sure you come on down and join us here on Route 1. All right, you're preparing for Howard on Saturday. What are the things in particular you've been stressing this week? What are you looking for in terms of improvement?
Well, it's really all about us. Howard is a well-coached football team that will play hard. But I'm really not concerned about what Howard does. I'm concerned about what we do, and we talk about the keys to improvement. One, you got to continue to have belief in yourself, your teammates, and our plan and what we do. And we've got to focus on the process of improvement, and that means meetings, preparations, walkthroughs, practice, stay focused, eliminate distractions so we can get better. And it's team chemistry, continuing to keep that brotherhood of trust and that chemistry that we have on the football team very high. Those are the keys to improvement as we go through.
And as week in and week out, obviously you get different offenses, different defenses, different looks. How do you implement that and develop in your team as you got to get ready to also put in a game plan for the team?
Yeah, well, it's always tough when you face different offensive styles from week to week. And you look at what we faced last week. It was a mix of spread and pro-style offense this next week against Howard. It's primarily spread, but they've got a few elements of pro-style. And then we go to New Mexico the next week, which is primarily all option, triple option. And so it's a challenge from week to week to be able to get our players ready and prepared the right way for a different offense or different defense that we could face.
And for you personally, getting your first chance to coach a home game got to be very exciting for you.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for every game. I'm really excited for our home opener. Excited to get into the stadium and see the fans and see the student section and go out and hopefully be able to play to our full potential on Saturday in front of our home crowd. It's going to be very important that we make our stadium a stadium that opponents don't want to come into play. They know it's going to be a really rough game when they do that. And it starts this Saturday.
Coach, we will see you on Saturday at High Point Solution Stadium.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And thank all the fans that came out tonight.
Good luck, Coach.
Thank you.
We will hopefully see a lot more of you next week as well here at Quaker Steak and Lube, Route 1, Edison, New Jersey. Our thanks to John Essick back in our Rutgers IMG Sports Network studios, Paul Schrager, Colin Osborne, Jimmy Gill, and Hasim Phillips. For Eric LeGrand and the coach, Chris Ash, this is Chris Carlin speaking. We'll see you Saturday, 12 noon, High Point Solution Stadium, Rutgers, hosting Howard in the home opener. Have a good week, everybody.
You've been listening to The Chris Ash Show on the Rutgers IMG Sports Network. The Chris Ash Show has been brought to you by Join us throughout the season from Quaker Steak and Lube on US 1 in Edison to hear from the head football coach of the Scarlet Knights. The Chris Ash Show is an exclusive presentation of IMG, America's home for college sports.